So, dann sollte ich jetzt live sein. Hallo, herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Runde Zero Escape 999, dem kleinen Revisit einer meiner liebsten Visual Novels. Und ich habe inzwischen sowieso einfach einen generellen Narren angefressen an Narrative Games. So, dann warte ich erstmal kurz, bis die ersten Leute aus der Werbung zurück sind. Und dann mal schauen, ob gleich noch jemand dazukommt. Ansonsten fällt mir gerade auf, dass ich eine Kleinigkeit noch vergessen habe. Ich habe mir hier eine Kanne Tee hingestellt, bisschen Zucker. Aber ich habe das Wichtigste vergessen. Nicht das Wichtigste, aber eine der wichtigsten Sachen. Eine Tasse. Gebt mir einen kleinen Moment. Ich hole mir mal eben kurz innerhalb von 10 Sekunden oder 20 eine Tasse. Bin sofort wieder da. Super. Und da bin ich auch schon wieder. So, kurz Tasse hingestellt. Hier ein bisschen Platz gemacht und dann kann es auch losgehen. So. Mal schauen. Geht's allen gut? Ich hoffe zumindest. Ähm, ja, so. Wie gesagt, ich habe diesmal wieder etwas Tee. Lichtweg einfach genug zu trinken. Ah. Erste 2 Folgen noch nicht gesehen. Kann ich kurz zusammenfassen, worum es geht? Also, Zero Escape, das ist ein Setting. Ich gieße mir mal kurz Tee ein nebenher, kann sein, dass man das hört. In dem zumindest unser Hauptcharakter Junpei erstmal plötzlich aufgewacht ist in einer eher ungünstigeren Lage, weil er wohl entführt wurde von irgendeiner Person in einer Gasmaske, was jetzt natürlich nicht so toll ist. Und dann auf einem Schiff wieder aufgewacht ist, zusammen mit 8 anderen Leuten. Diese sind jetzt dazu gezwungen, ein Spiel zu spielen, und zwar das sogenannte Nonary Game. Jeder hat eine Nummer am Armband, das geht im Grunde dann darum, wie man miteinander spielt, und man muss durch entsprechende Türen kommen, um letzten Endes die letzte Tür zu finden, die Tür Nummer 9. Und ja, das ist im Grunde das große Ziel dieses Spiels, diese Tür Nummer 9 zu finden. Und dann eben auch da durchzukommen. Da gibt es dann entsprechende Regeln, wer durch welche Türen gehen kann, auch mit Quersummen und so weiter. Das Problem ist, wer die Regeln bricht, alle Leute haben eine Bombe im Verdauungstrakt. Und es ist so, wenn die Regeln brechen, dann geht das Ding gerne mal hoch. Das hat dann auch einer, der versucht hat, alleine zu entkommen, gezeigt. Ansonsten ist es so, alle Charaktere haben halt kleine Spitznamen mehr oder weniger, bis auf Junpei, der einfach von seiner Kindheitsfreundin, die er da wiedergefunden hat, bei seinem normalen Namen genannt wurde. Beziehungsweise auch bei seinem Spitznamen. Aber es lief halt darauf hinaus, dass er mit seinem echten Namen angesprochen wurde und die Leute deshalb wissen, wie er heißt. Der Rest hat alles entsprechende Decknamen. Und zwar meistens Anspielungen oder eigentlich immer Anspielungen auf ihre jeweilige Nummer. Denn jeder, wie gesagt, eine Zahl zwischen 1 und 9. Junpei hat die 5. Ansonsten gilt zum Beispiel Nummer 1 ist Ace, Nummer 2 ist Snake für Snake Eyes, Nummer 3 ist Santa wegen Sun, dem japanischen Wort für 3. Nummer 4 ist Clover, also Kleeblatt. Nummer 5 Junpei, halt, der hat keinen besonderen Namen. Nummer 6 ist June, eigentlich Akane, aber June wegen Juni, 6. Monat. 7 ist einfach Seven. Nummer 8, das ist die Dame hier vor uns, Lotus, wegen dem heraldischen Lotus und seinen 8 Blütenblättern. Und ansonsten gibt es aber auch noch, wie hieß er? Ah, nee, der 9., klar, der 9. hat keinen Namen. Also, den haben wir nicht kennengelernt als Person mit Namen, sondern der ist einfach durch eine Tür gegangen und es ist nicht gut für ihn ausgegangen. Der liegt jetzt so verteilt in einem Flur. Gut, damit habe ich jetzt für die ersten 2 Folgen noch sehen wollten, ein bisschen gespoilert, aber ansonsten versteht man ja auch nicht ganz, was los ist. Jedenfalls mussten sich die Gruppen kurz trennen, durch 2 Türen gehen, haben jetzt hier wieder zusammengefunden, aber einer von den Gruppen fehlt. Nämlich Snake. ein Blinder und übrigens auch der Bruder von Clover. Und man weiß nicht, wo der hin ist. Und man hat auch augenscheinlich alles abgesucht und er ist nicht zu finden, was halt ein bisschen schade ist. Gebt mir mal einen Moment, ich schau mal ganz kurz, ob eigentlich der Sound passt. Das heißt, ich werde mal kurz hier am Laptop, über den ich ja den Stream steuere, den Ton anmachen und einfach nur schauen, ob ich mich gut höre oder. Man hat auch wahrscheinlich alles abgesucht. Ja, alles wunderbar. Das heißt, die Soundqualität ist auch in Ordnung, weil es kann manchmal sein, dass das Mikro irgendwie ein bisschen knarzig aufgezeichnet wird. Das wollte ich einfach nur kurz mal testen. Zur Sicherheit. Aber gut, damit sind wir jetzt quasi auf dem Stand. Das heißt, naja, jemand da? Ah, okay, jetzt supi, danke, wunderbar. Es ist eine Reihe, die ich nur sehr empfehlen kann. Also für Leute, die Visual Novels mögen und gerade zum Beispiel auch Fans der Danganronpa-Reihe und sowas, die ein bisschen abgespacederes Zeug mögen. Super Reihe. Es ist allerdings auch so, dass da ein bisschen zwischenzeitlich so Escape Room-Rätsel sind, die mehr in die Richtung eines Point-and-Click-Adventures gehen. Was ich aber auch ganz schön finde. Tatsächlich, ich mag sowas. Und die Rätsel sind auch alle immer gut machbar. Aber gut. Immerhin eine Sache ist auch schön. Im Gegensatz zur ersten Veröffentlichung, dieses Spiel kam nämlich ursprünglich auf dem Nintendo DS raus, ist es in dem Steam-Port so, dass dann auch die Charaktere alle vertont sind. Allerdings, vorher waren es natürlich 2 Bildschirme, das heißt, man hatte immer oben dann so die Charaktere, wie sie reden, und unten hatte man so ein bisschen romanartig auch Beschreibungen. Und auch in den entsprechenden Rätsel-Sessions war es dann so, dass da unten zum Beispiel das Inventar war. Ist hier jetzt ein kleines bisschen anders, ist an sich jetzt auch nichts Schlimmes. Es ist halt eine kleine Änderung, aber ist okay. Wir sind auf jeden Fall jetzt kurz vor der nächsten Entscheidung. Das heißt, es wird jetzt gar nicht mal so unwahrscheinlich sein, dass in den nächsten, ja, sagen wir mal 20 Minuten, man sich für eine weitere Tür entscheiden muss. Man sieht zum Beispiel im Hintergrund hier die Tür mit der 3. Aber gut, machen wir weiter. Ich werde dann entsprechend vorlesen, was nicht vertont ist, das heißt so romanartige Beschreibung. Lotus looked around at 6 frustrated faces and spoke.
We can't keep looking for him. Wherever he is, it's not here. We need to get moving.
Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point to wasting any more time. The others seemed to be having similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, Seven spoke.
We don't got a choice. Lotus is right.
Ach ja, ich hatte noch nicht erwähnt, die Leute haben nur 9 Stunden, um vom Schiff zu entkommen. Daher auch 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Der Titel des Spiels.
We're not gonna find Snake. There's a problem, though. We've got to figure out who's gonna go through which door.
Yes, I have a proposal.
She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. Finally, she stopped.
Why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice?
Sacrifice?
Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yes. You've all figured it out by now, haven't you? We can't all make it through those doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind.
Kurz zur Erklärung, um durch eine Tür gehen zu können. Es müssen immer mindestens 3 Personen sein und maximal 5 Personen. Und die Summe der Zahlen an den Armbändern der Personen, also der Nummern, muss als Quersumme die Türnummer ergeben. Das heißt, wenn jetzt beispielsweise 6, 5 und 2 zusammenarbeiten, kommen wir auf eine Summe von 13. Und das heißt, die Quersumme wäre 4, man dürfte damit durch die Tür 4 gehen. Einfach nur als eine kleine Erklärung. Und zumindest bei den letzten beiden, da hatten wir die Türen 4 und 5. Das war jetzt kein Problem. Hier haben wir 3, 7 und 8. Und das Problem ist jetzt, dass man da das mit der Quersumme nicht hinkriegt, wenn die Nummer 2 fehlt. Dass die Nummer 9 fehlt, ist tatsächlich nicht das Problem. Aber die Nummer 2 ist hier das Problem. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. It's not sure, she was right. machen wir mal das Not Sure. Das ist jetzt nichts, was die Story groß beeinflusst. Ich habe das Spiel schon mal gespielt. Interessanterweise, obwohl es ein anderer Spielstand war, sind manche Sachen hier ausgegraut. Junpei wasn't quite sure that was true.
Wait a minute. 2 people get left behind if we split into 5 and 2. And 1 person is left behind if we split into 3, 3, and 1. I got that part. You can't go through the numbered doors with any less than 3 people. But if we split into 4 and 3, then why do 3 people have to be left behind?
Just run the numbers. Let's say we go through door 7 with 1, 4, 5, 6. Who's left over?
That would be 3, 7, 8.
What's the digital root for that?
3 plus 7 plus 8 is 18, so add 1, 8, 9.
Yep. Man könnte jetzt natürlich überlegen, was wäre, wenn jetzt noch 2 da wäre. Dann wären wir bei 20, dann wären wir bei 2, was also auch nicht so ganz funktionieren würde. Problematisch.
Exactly. But door 9 isn't here, right? That means 3, 7, 8 won't be going anywhere. That was just an example, of course. There are a lot of different combinations, but the result will always be the same. It doesn't matter which 4 it is. The 3 that are left over can't go through any of the doors. Go ahead and calculate it if you have the time. You'll see. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, if we can get back to my proposal. We only have to sacrifice 1 person if we split into 3, 3, and 1.
When Seven spoke, his voice was strained.
Then you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind.
Yes, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logically and morally the best solution. If the other 6 are to survive, then 1 person has to sacrifice themselves.
No, that's too cruel!
What's so cruel about it?
To just sacrifice someone like that?
Then what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1.
That's not what I meant! We shouldn't sacrifice anyone!
I told you, that's impossible. Wake up.
Whoa, calm down, you 2.
Santa stepped between Lotus and June.
Look, what Lotus is trying to say is, you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right?
Exactly. That's how democracy works. And for that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who will be sacrificed is through a vote. What do you think?
No! That's terrible!
I'm not asking you. Shut up. What about you, Santa?
Me? Well, I agree, I guess.
All right, that's 1 vote for. Counting mine, that's 2. 7.
I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die.
Oh, glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover?
Clover had moved away from the group and was sitting on one of the beds. Her whole body drooped. Junpei didn't know if she'd even heard Lotus's proposal.
Hey, Clover.
Kurz zur Erinnerung, Snake, der verschwunden ist, war ihr Bruder. Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder.
Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors. We've searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow?
Clover slowly lifted her face.
Let's go look for him together, okay? If we sacrifice 1 person, then we can go look for him. You agree with me, right?
Okay.
Clover nodded once.
The motion carries.
Lotus spun around and walked toward Junpei.
Now, let's start a vote to...
That won't be necessary.
Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech, and everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at him. He didn't seem to notice or even care.
I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes?
you saying? No, you can't do that. That won't solve anything.
June's voice shook, and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with her. Ace simply looked at her.
June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself.
Huh?
I trust you, each and every one of you. I believe you'll come back for me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's optimistic, and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out. If we go through them...
You won't be able to return, correct?
Yeah.
True, but that will not be the case once you've escaped from the ship.
What?
Please, I beg you. Once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally, within the time limit Zero has given us.
No, that's ridiculous. There's no way we could get back in time.
Finally, Junpei could hold his tongue no longer.
We've only got 5 hours left. We don't even know where the hell we are. How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you?
Then, perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me? Or perhaps you would be willing to leave June behind?
Ace's voice was dignified, without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal.
You see, there's no other choice. Then I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go, quickly.
Junpei stood frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lips so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Santa stood against a wall, calm and aloof. Seven tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Only Clover stared at Ace with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others.
Let's accept his kind offer then.
She smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own.
Good. I think this is the best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. It may be my age, but I get tired so easily these days.
As he spoke, Ace lowered himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei suddenly heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship were screaming. Would it really hold until that time limit was up? Already D-Deck was flooded. In the sudden silence, the only sound was the sad metal wail of the ship. Ach ja, ich hatte ganz vergessen, die 9 Stunden kommen daher, dass dann wohl gewisse Teile des Schiffs geöffnet werden und das Schiff geflutet wird und untergeht. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first.
Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time. Why don't we hurry it up?
As if a spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once.
You're right. We should get going. That's all we can do right now.
7.
Seriously. Honestly, I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk.
You too, Santa? I have to find my brother. Wait, all of you. Let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Jumpy? Say something.
Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way.
His words sounded hollow and fake.
Fine! Forget about it. I'll figure it out on my own.
She spun around and ran toward Ace. He had slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled.
Ace! Come on, Ace. Please stand up. You can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out a way that we can all get out of here.
Then it happened. Ace fell forward. He slumped over onto the wooden floor, his body folded in half like a boxer out cold.
Ace!
June cried out and dropped to her knees beside him. She put her arm around his neck and did her best to lift him up.
What happened? Ace, say something!
She shook him frantically. His eyes fluttered open.
I'm all right.
His voice was weak and slightly slurred.
How are you all right?
This.
He held out his left arm and slowly opened his hand.
A syringe?
In it was a syringe and a small vial. The vial was empty. It had only recently been emptied. A few drops clung to the sides. There was a label taped to the side of the container. It read Soporil Beta. Soporil Beta?
Soporil Beta. What does this do? Did you use this?
Yes. It's just anesthetic. I'll be fine.
Anesthetic?
I found it earlier, while we were searching the hospital rooms. I thought it might be useful later. I didn't think I'd be using it on myself.
Why did you do this?
Didn't I tell you? I'd like to take a nap. I really am very tired.
Junpei knew that wasn't why he'd done it. Ace had injected himself with anesthetic to forestall Junpei and June's attempt to bring him along. If he couldn't move, there was nothing they could do. He'd inject himself so that they would be forced to leave him behind.
Ace.
Is there something you want to say? I'd just like to sleep a little. Could you keep it down?
No, don't, Ace. Don't fall asleep.
You feel warm. So comfortable. I think I'll have a nice dream.
Ace's eyelids drooped further and further, almost as though he were dying.
Ace! Ace!
She shook his shoulder again and again, but this time he didn't respond. Only the gentle rising and falling of his chest told them he was alive. Junpei was relieved to see he was, in fact, still breathing.
Let's get him up on a bed.
He lifted Ace up off the floor and laid him on the bed he'd been leaning against. When Junpei turned around, Lotus gave him a look of pity.
Well, we really don't have a choice now. We can't let his sacrifice go to waste. Right?
Like you even mean that.
You say something?
No, nothing.
It felt wrong, but he had to agree. Then suddenly, Santa spoke.
Yeah, but we're not done choosing yet, are we?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, we haven't decided who's going in what door.
Ich trinke mal kurz einen Schluck von meinem Tee. Oh, der hat jetzt eine sehr angenehme Trinktemperatur. So. Da wollte ich mir kurz schon mal was gönnen. Aber ja, jetzt wird's interessant.
Ah, yes. Yes, that's true.
Enough of this screwing around. Let's decide. You first, Lotus. Which door do you want?
I want door number 8. It's the same number as my bracelet number.
Got it. You're 8. You're next, 7. Which one do you want?
I'll take 7. I can't get along with that old lady.
What? What did you just say?
Her face distorted by rage, Lotus took a step towards 7. He threw up his hands and made a face like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
Who, me? I didn't say nothing.
Oh, you're gonna get it next time.
Mal ganz davon abgesehen, dass es auch überhaupt nicht funktionieren würde, wenn die sich 3:3 aufteilen würden. Weil wenn er jetzt dazu käme, sind die bei 15. Das heißt, die brauchen, um 8 zu bekommen, weil die momentan bei 6 sind, noch 2. Und 2 ist nicht da. Und das funktioniert entsprechend so nicht. She shot him a glare that would have melted steel, then turned and stalked off.
Alright, who's next?
Santa's gaze moved across the three people left. Finally, they stopped on Junpei.
Junpei, which door do you want?
At last, Junpei's mind was already made up. Und ja, jetzt können wir da entsprechend auswählen. Und das ist eine Sache, die ich gerne meinem Chat überlasse. Ich hoffe, dass gerade noch jemand da ist, weil mir wird kein Zuschauer angezeigt, was irgendwie ein bisschen seltsam ist, weil eben habe ich ja auch Sachen im Chat gesehen und da war auch niemand angezeigt. Das war seltsam. YouTube spinnt also wohl wieder herum. Also wie gesagt, Tür bitte aussuchen. Tatsächlich narrativ alle 3 gehen. Das erste, was im Chat landet, nehme ich dann. Wenn sich keiner meldet, muss ich halt würfeln oder sowas. Der Tee ist echt gut geworden. So, ich habe mir schon mal einen Würfel gegriffen für den Fall, dass jetzt nichts kommt. Geben wir dem Ganzen noch 2 Minuten. Wenn dann nichts da ist, dann... ja. 8. Okay, es ist was gekommen. Perfekt, wir nehmen Tür Nummer 8. Also es geht mit Lotus zusammen weiter. Dann können wir uns auch direkt überlegen, wer noch dazu kommt. Damit das passt.
I think I'm gonna go with door 8.
Okay, 8 it is.
Yeah.
Alright then, that means June's gotta go through 7.
What? Why?
What?
Santa grimaced and muttered angrily to himself, but finally began to explain.
If the 6 of us are gonna keep going without leaving anyone behind, there are only 3 ways we can do it.
Plan A.
Have 3, 5, and 8 go through 7, and 4, 6, and 7 go through 8.
Plan B.
4, 5, and 7 go through 7, and 3, 6, and 8 go through 8.
Plan C.
Or 3, 6, and 7 go through 7, and 4, 5, and 8 get 8. There are no other combinations. In other words, 3 and 4, and 7 and 8 can never go through the same doors. You get it now?
As Santa finished, June looked over at Junpei, tears welling up in the corners of her eyes.
Oh no. You're saying we aren't gonna see each other again for a long time.
Junpei felt just as June did. He wanted to be at her side through whatever trials they were preparing to face. But he knew if they were to survive, he had to swallow his feelings. In order for the 6 of them to move forward, he and June had to be separated. He looked at June. He was scared to lose her, but he swallowed, steeled his resolve, and did his best to smile.
Hey, come on. You're making it sound like we're never gonna see each other again. We gotta split up, but only for a while. This is just like when we went into the 4 and 5 doors, remember? We got split up then too, but we all met back up. I'll bet 7 and 8 are just like that.
You mean they're connected somewhere?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
She didn't sound very hopeful. It was 7 that interjected.
I'm sure they're gonna connect somewhere.
Why? What makes you think so?
If they don't, then neither team can get through door 9. In other words, the game would end right here. Zero's been on top of his shit so far. I don't think he'd blow it now. I'm damn sure that son of a bitch wants to have his fun as long as possible. He's not gonna end this game until we get through the 9 door.
Auch sehr schöner Kommentar übrigens. Bleiben wir bei der netten alten Lady. Die nette alte Lady in dem hübschen Bauchtänzerkostüm, meinst du? Also, schon klar, schon klar. Aber Lotus ist ganz lustig. Ich mag die Charaktere eigentlich alle. Also es gibt ein paar, wo ich mir denke, nicht unbedingt die sympathischsten, aber alle Charaktere sind interessant und hinter jedem Charakter steckt auch was. Und vor allem, man kann sehr viel über die Charaktere auch herausfinden. Wir wissen bisher zumindest, dass Seven Amnesie hat. Also der erinnert sich nicht an irgendwas, was vor diesem Spiel war. Zumindest hat er das uns gesagt. Bei June wissen wir, also Akane, das ist eine Kindheitsfreundin von Junpei. Viel mehr wissen wir da aber auch nicht. Über den Rest wissen wir momentan noch nicht wirklich Bescheid. Außer halt, dass Clover und Snake, der ja verschwunden ist, Geschwister sind. Aber ich kann eine Sache verraten. Es gibt immer sehr subtile Hinweise auf Dinge und sehr gute Plot-Twists in dieser gesamten Spielreihe. Das sind ja 3 Spiele, die zwar vom Stil sich immer sehr stark verändern. Es sind immer noch Visual Novels alle, aber zum Beispiel der zweite Teil hat dann etwas anderen... Moment, ich zeig's mal kurz. Wo war das? Flowchart. Das Flowchart sieht da ein bisschen anders aus, weil es sich wirklich einfach nur aufspaltet und nicht nochmal konvergiert. Aber der dritte Teil zum Beispiel, der arbeitet mit einer fragmentierten Erzählweise, was richtig, richtig kreativ gemacht ist. Und da gibt es dann halt auch keine Novel-Segmente mehr, sondern es ist da dann so, dass das tatsächlich kleine Filmsequenzen sind immer, die allerdings nicht überragend animiert sind. Das ist halt auch für Handheld-Konsolen und die hatten auch nicht das riesigste Budget, von daher. Aber dennoch, der dritte Teil ist nach wie vor gut, nur völlig abgedreht. Aber das mag ich an der Reihe. June said nothing. The tears were gone, but her eyes were still sad as they looked at Junpei. He met them, and with what reassurance he could manage, laid his hand gently on her shoulder.
Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna see each other again. I promise.
June bit her lip and gave him an almost imperceptible nod.
Yes. Promise?
Her voice was barely above a whisper. Santa's voice shattered the moment.
You guys are done, right?
He stretched and continued.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. Clover and I will both go into separate groups. I figure I'll take 7 and Clover can take 8. Any problems with that, Clover?
Clover looked away and was silent for a moment.
Whatever.
It was more of a dismissal than an agreement, but Santa didn't seem to care.
All right, we're ready to go then. Let's move.
At Santa's command, the group split and headed for their respective doors. Santa, Seven, and June walked toward door 7, while Clover, Lotus, and Junpei headed for door 8. For a long moment, they stood in front of the door. Then Lotus laid her hand against her chest and turned to Junpei and Clover.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then shall we go?
It's open.
A narrow hallway stretched out before them.
Okay.
Hurry!
Lotus and Clover leapt through the door. The moment they did, their bracelets beeped. The detonators in the bracelets had been activated. Junpei stepped forward to follow them. But as he was about to step over the threshold, he stopped. He looked to his left, toward door 7. June stood there, a mirror image of Junpei. She turned and looked toward him. Their eyes met.
June.
Jumpy.
They nodded. Their farewell took almost 1.5 seconds.
What the hell are you doing?
Then someone took hold of Junpei's arms and hauled him bodily through the door. He heard the sound of the numbered door slam shut behind him. His bracelet gave a cold electronic beep.
81 seconds left. Hurry!
Lotus snapped at him and ran to the dead. Dead steht für Deactivation Device. Man muss diesen... es ist so... Red ist das Registration Device, das ist das Ding, wo die am Anfang waren. Jetzt müssen die zu einem Gerät, um den Detonator zu deaktivieren. ist quasi eine Anti-Schummel-Vorrichtung. Junpei and Clover followed her as fast as they could.
It stopped.
With a shaking hand, she wiped a few beads of sweat from her forehead. Clover, however, was calm, aloof perhaps.
Pointless.
She muttered to herself without emotion and began to walk down the hallway, leaving behind a confused Junpei and Lotus. Lotus watched the girls receding back with a mix of frustration and curiosity.
What an unpleasant girl. I bet she's not very popular with the boys.
Her sarcasm seemed a little more biting than was perhaps necessary, but she sighed and started after the younger girl.
Maybe pairing these two together was a mistake. Too late now. I better catch up to them.
After taking a moment to catch his breath, Junpei followed.
Oh, it's a dead end.
The hallway made a number of turns before at last coming to a dead end.
There's a door on the left, though.
For a few minutes they stood in front of the door, examining it. Above the door was a plate with the word laboratory engraved on it.
A laboratory? Huh.
Oh, that doesn't sound very pleasant. I don't like the look of this place.
Me either, but there aren't any other doors. It's not like we have a lot of choices.
Junpei,
Huh?
please, you first.
Junpei suspected her politeness was motivated by something other than respect.
Ugh, fine.
Junpei muttered to himself and pushed open the iron door. His first steps inside were tentative and careful, but as he examined the room, it became clear that there was no imminent danger. Lotus followed him in, and Clover brought up the rear. The room they found themselves in was divided into two separate areas by a curved wall. A thick glass window built into that wall made it possible to see into the other side of the division.
You know, I think the window looks into another room.
Maybe it's for monitoring something.
Junpei walked to the window and looked through.
What the hell?
He wasn't sure what else to say. In the center of a room shaped with like a quarter circle, a mannequin lay on what looked like a medical exam table.
It looks so creepy.
Junpei jumped a little. He hadn't noticed Lotus come up next to him.
It's kind of like that doll is waiting for surgery.
This is a laboratory, right? I'd say it's more like it's waiting to be experimented on.
Ooh,
It's creepy either way. You don't think that thing's gonna suddenly sit up or something, do you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at all those cables sticking out of it. If we press the wrong button, I don't know.
Stop it. Just thinking about it is terrifying.
She was gripping her arms, the knuckles on her hands white.
Wait, where's Clover?
She was still standing near the entrance of the room. Her face had the appearance of calm, but it was drawn and somehow sad.
What is she?
There was something almost pitiful about her. Junpei walked over to her and, as kindly as he could, spoke.
Are you okay?
Clover looked away.
What are you talking about?
What? I'm just worried about you. You've been real quiet.
What? I can't be quiet if I want to?
Well, I mean, of course you can. I just...
Okay then. If I can be quiet if I want, just leave me alone, okay?
Come on, you know I can't do that. We gotta work together.
Clover bit her lip and was silent.
Junpei, you just don't get it!
Aus irgendeinem Grund ging die Stimme los, bevor ich es zu Ende gelesen habe. And was silent for a moment, then suddenly... Oh. Her cry took Junpei by surprise, and he stumbled backward a few steps, alarmed.
My brother's not the kind of person who'd just leave me behind! Something happened to him. Something bad.
Yeah.
Aber dann, wenn ich denke, ich kann gerade einen Schluck nehmen, geht's dann doch mit dem Text weiter. Junpei had nothing to say. Lotus, jolted from her mannequin nightmares by Clover's voice, turned toward them.
What happened?
Clover's eyes slid to Lotus, then back to Junpei.
Look, just don't bother me, okay? Leave me alone.
Finished, she turned around. Before Junpei or Lotus could say anything, Clover had begun to walk quickly away.
Hey, wait, Clover! Hold on! That way is...
I told you to leave me alone.
He might as well have been talking to a wall for all the notice she took of his cries. Not even slowing down, she made for a doorway cut in the wall in front of her. Without even slowing down, she passed through the doorway.
Clover, watch out above you!
And without warning, an iron gate fell from the ceiling like a portcullis, sealing Clover in.
What the heck? What's going on here?
Clover grabbed hold of the iron bars and shook them as hard as she could.
Hang on! I'll get it open.
Oh, for crying out. You'll never do it on your own.
Junpei grabbed the bars and pulled. In a moment, Lotus joined him. The three of them pulled as hard as they could, but
Damn it! It's not moving.
Wait! Are you gonna give up? Just like that?
No, I'm not giving up. This has got to be another one of Zero's puzzles.
If it is, then there's gotta be a way to open it.
Just what I was thinking. Now all we gotta do is find it.
oh, auch ein schöner Kommentar gerade. Ich wollte gerade kommentieren, dass Clovers Hände etwas unschön gezeichnet sind, dann bewegt sie sich auf einmal und zeigt mit dem Finger auf uns. Ja, da fühlt man sich glatt ertappt.
Lotus and I can look around out here. Clover, you're gonna have to see if you can find anything in there.
Oh, yes, I'm on it.
Und damit sind wir jetzt in einer der Escape Room Sections angekommen, die auch so ein bisschen natürlich einen großen Teil dieser Spiele auch ausmachen oder diese Spiele definieren. Heißt ja nicht ohne Grund die Zero Escape Reihe. Von daher, so, ich gieße mir dann wieder etwas Tee ein. Ich habe mir gerade eben die Tasse leer getrunken, aber so habe ich dann wieder die Möglichkeit, dass ein kleines bisschen, sagen wir mal, auf eine angenehme Temperatur kommen kann. In der Zwischenzeit, während ich hier versuche, das Ganze zu lösen. So. Und dann wollen wir mal loslegen. So. Wir können uns hier also umsehen und wir können hier ein bisschen was machen. Aber ab hier ist übrigens nicht vertont, das heißt, ich muss alle Stimmen selber machen. Junpei, do something, please. Okay. Würde ja gern, aber ich kann hier ja nicht. Man kann alle möglichen Sachen ansehen. Window made of really thick glass. I don't even think a bullet could break it. So, schauen wir uns erstmal hier um. Was ist das? This looks like the control for an electronic door lock. There's a red light on the display. That means it's locked. If we can get that light to turn green, then maybe we can get Clover back. This looks like the control for some kind of electric lock. The red light is on. Then it's gotta be locked. There's a green light just below it. Although that one isn't lit. I bet it'll turn on if we can unlock it, right? Yes, but how are we going to unlock it? There's no keyhole, no card reader, and no keyboard for putting in a password. I have no idea. So. The hands on the clock have stopped moving. The clock may stop, but time goes on. No time to screw around. We need to figure out a way out of here. There's a lot of stuff here. I don't know how we could use any of these. Well, I can say for sure that I do know how to use at least one of these things. Which one? The one on the top. I think it's a power cable. A power cable, huh? I'll take that. Yep. 3-pronged power cable. This is definitely a power cable. Do you remember if we ran into anything that didn't have power? Tja, klassisches Point-and-Click-Adventure. There are 2 levers here. Do you think they activate something? Well, why don't you move one? Alright, I'll give it a try. Nope. Doesn't look like anything's happened. I think this thing's supposed to power that machine in the other room. Well, it doesn't appear to be doing that. I wonder how we're supposed to turn it on. Vielleicht hiermit? This is a keyhole. This looks like a keyhole from for the activation key. This is a really old type of keyboard. Gibt's hier sonst irgendwas? Nö. Aber hier haben wir einige Dinge. This monitor doesn't have a power cable. So one end of this cable needs to be connected to a monitor. And the other needs to plug in under the desk. Alright, let's just slip you in. Huh? Oh shoot, I can't use this. What's wrong? This cable has 3 prongs, but the socket only has 2 holes. It's not gonna fit it, that is what I'm saying. In other words, we're gonna need a plug to change the power cable to one with 2 prongs. That's right. Ja, wir haben quasi ein britisches Kabel, aber eine sonstige Steckdose. The keyboard. The mouse. A whole bunch of steel lockers. The 9 on the right all have little red lights on them. Red lights, huh? Well, can't hurt to give these babies a try. Yep, just as I thought. Locked tight, all 9 of them. I wonder if there's anything important in there. Was haben wir denn hier? Ethanol. Ethanol. I wonder if this is for antisepsis. Oh, it says anhydrous ethanol. Anhydrous? Is that different from the regular ethanol? Come on, that's common knowledge. Anhydrous ethanol is a powerful cleaner. It can even erase marks left by a permanent marker. Yep, das liegt an den wunderschönen chemischen Eigenschaften von Ethanol und da kommt wieder der Naturwissenschaftler in mir raus. Klingt ein bisschen langweilig dann, aber Ethanol ist... Ich habe immer gesagt, wenn was mit selbst 70%igem Ethanol nicht weggeht, ein Fleck, dann hat der verdient zu bleiben. Also ich habe ja eine Zeit lang auch im Labor meine Arbeiten gemacht für Master und Bachelor und sowas. Was haben wir denn hier vielleicht? These lockers are a little larger than the ones on top. Let's see if there's anything useful in here. And no, nothing. They're cardboard boxes. There's some papers and stuff in them. What's in the boxes? They look quite full. As far as I can tell, it's a bunch of notes about some kind of experiments. But it's all really technical and stuff. I don't really get it. Okay. Dann können wir nur mal hier durchgucken. I wonder what they washed here. There are these weird colored stains all over the sink. Ugh, super. It's a rack. There are a bunch of cables on it. Somebody cut the outer stuff out of the cables. I can see the wires inside. I don't know what kind of table this is, but part of it's all black. There's a pen lying over here. I think someone probably used it to make the table black. Well, if they only used a pen on one part of it, there's probably something underneath all that pen. Clover? Do you think you can erase it? Yeah, sure. Oh, this is a permanent marker. Junpei, do you know how to erase ink from a permanent marker? Erase ink from a permanent marker, huh? Give me just a minute, Clover. I'll be right back. Ja, wir werden ihr gleich das Ethanol geben, keine Sorge. Is this like an examination table? There's a creepy mannequin in here, guys. Hey Clover, how are the power cables over there? Huh? What do you mean? Does the plug have 3 prongs or 2? I don't know what you're talking about. Let me go look. Guess she does have to kind of crouch down to get a look under there. The cable on the monitor has, it's got 2 of those little metal things. What does that mean? That's it. Okay, can you unplug that cable and bring it over here? Okay, but... Well, I can unplug it, but it's connected to the main computer. I can't take it over to you. Damn it, that's no good then. Well, how about just the plug? What? The plug? Well, maybe more like a connector? It's a sort of thing that makes the plug with the 3 metal thingies into a plug with 2 metal thingies. Still useless? Not useless, not useless at all. That's just what we were looking for. Okay. Can you hold on for a little bit? And back down she goes. Alright. Unplugged. I'll hand it to you over at the bars, okay? I wonder what this is. This thing here looks like a voltmeter. And this is the control for that? Gosh, there's so many dials. Why don't you try turning one of them? Nope, nothing. There's no power here, guys. I turned the dial a whole bunch, but even if I turn all the switches on, nothing happens. So, ich rühre mal kurz den Tee um, denn der sollte jetzt auch eine angenehme Temperatur haben. Ja, ein bisschen heiß noch, aber... So. Das ist gut. Das ist gut. Wenn man sich so gerade nicht mehr die Zunge dran verbrennt. Clover, use this ethanol. You should be able to wipe off that permanent ink with it. What am I gonna wipe with? Oh well, your clothes, of course. Kidding, just kidding. Please don't look at me like that. You're scaring me. Anyway, could you wipe off that permanent ink? Look, Clover. Right now, at this moment, you're the only person we can depend on. I'm trusting you with this. You trust me? I feel kinda special. Haben wir jetzt eigentlich... Ach ja, genau, das Kabel. Hey, Clover. And she's just wandering around the table. I don't think she even knows we're calling her. Okay, dann zuerst den Tisch. Clover, can you use the cloth on the table? Use... Huh? Soak it in ethanol and then use it to wash off all the stuff from the permanent marker, okay? Right, okay, so I gotta soak the cloth with ethanol. Well, she's got the cloth, but she seems to be having a little trouble with a bottle of ethanol. When she's ready, I should ask her to get the work on that stuff on the table. Soak the cloth in ethanol and... Junpei! It's working, it's wiping the permanent ink off. Huh? There's some kind of weird drawing under all the permanent ink. What's the deal with that drawing? What's the deal with the drawing Clover found? Maybe I should ask her to take another look at the table. I wonder what this is. There are a bunch of numbers in some kind of grid. I can't see it from here. Clover, you've got a pen and a notebook, right? Could you write those numbers down and then hand them to me through the bars? Okay. Roger. Okay. Here, Junpei. I wrote down all the numbers from the desk on here. Paper with numbers on it acquired. New material has been added to the file screen. File screen, das ist hier. Clover's Note müsste es dann sein. Yep. Okay. Also Tic-Tac-Toe hatte ich anders in Erinnerung. Aber gut. Here you go. The 2-prong plug. Thanks. This is the 2-pronged plug that we can use to convert the power cable from a 3-pronged cable into a 2-pronged one. Okay, put the 2-pronged plug into onto the head of this power cable. Yay! It fits perfectly. This should just be just what we need. So, dann können wir jetzt hier war das. Alright, I've got the two-pronged power cable in my hand. I'm pretty sure this will work. Under the desk I go. And let's just plug this thing into the monitor. Alright, that ought to do it. Alright, let's turn the power on. I don't think anything's going to happen. Why not? Well, it's not connected to the main computer. You never know until you try. Pretty optimistic. Und ja, manchmal gibt es tatsächlich auch entsprechende kleine, wie soll man sagen, Story-Sections in den Spielen. Oder in den, Escape-Sections. So, der Begriff fiel mir gerade nicht ein. Junpei pushed the button on the front of the monitor.
Oh, that worked.
With the soft hum, it turned on. Streams of letters that made no sense to Junpei began to scroll all across the screen.
What?
He had hoped it would turn on, but he hadn't expected this.
Huh? It's running on its own?
It certainly looks like it.
Isn't that kinda weird?
What?
Well, it's not connected to the main computer, right? There's just this keyboard and monitor. The only cable connected to this thing is the power cable we just plugged in. So, why is it working?
Maybe it's a wireless display.
Clearly, this was a reasonable explanation to Lotus.
A wireless display?
Yes, it connects to your computer wirelessly, hence the name. Have you been living in a cave, Junpei?
He most certainly had not, but
Is that normal?
Yes, at least where I worked.
Oh.
Oh, it stopped.
Pass with a colon.
Looks like we need to enter a password.
Again? There must be a hint around here somewhere.
Could you go take a look?
Yeah, I'm on it. What are you going to do?
I'll see if I can do something about this on my own.
On your own?
Yep, on my own.
Lotus?
Lotus pulled over the nearest chair and dropped herself down onto it in front of the keyboard. For a second, she stared at the screen. She kneaded her hands, knuckles popping, and twisted her back left then right.
All right. Let's kick some ass.
Lotus smiled to herself and rubbed her hands together in anticipation. Then, before Junpei had time to blink, she was typing at an incredible speed. The click-clack of the keys running together like machine gun fire.
Wait, what?
Junpei was, for once, at a loss for words.
Didn't expect that, did you?
Of course I didn't! You're typing so fast, I can't even see your fingers. What kind of job do you have? What are you?
I'm unemployed at the moment. I used to work for a cybersecurity firm, but I quit.
Warum man als Angestellter einer Cybersecurity-Firma so eine Kleidung hat, warum auch immer die diese Kleidung trug, als sie entführt wurde, man weiß es nicht.
Why?
Lotus blinked.
Huh? Oh, it was just something.
She stopped typing for a moment and her face fell.
I see.
This was not an avenue of questioning to be pursued, Junpei realized and quickly shut his mouth. Lotus's fingers began to move again, and in a few seconds she was back up to speed. As she typed, more letters and symbols that meant nothing to Junpei began to pour across the screen.
Oh, what are you doing now?
I'm going to try and brute force it.
Brute what?
A brute force attack is... Well, the short version is that I just attack the thing head on. The long version?
Without looking up or slowing down, she began to explain.
A brute force attack is one of the simplest ways to break a cipher. It checks every possible combination until it finds the right one. For a complex cipher, it can take a very long time.
Yep, das ist der Grund, warum man möglichst viele verschiedene Zeichen in einer, so Sachen wie Sonderzeichen oder Zahlen in einem Passwort haben sollte. Einfach aus dem Grund, dass das dann die Wahrscheinlichkeit, dass sowas geknackt wird, halt deutlich verringern. Und die Länge des Passworts spielt dann entsprechend auch eine Rolle, weil dadurch sich eben die Menge an Möglichkeiten exponentiell steigert. Aber gut.
I'm writing a program that would run an attack like that on its own. It's not the most elegant solution, certainly. But given the circumstances, there isn't much else I can do.
Even as she talked, her fingers never slowed or missed a key. Junpei couldn't help but feel a little awed.
Oh, but back to what we were talking about earlier.
What were we talking about?
The wireless display? It's kind of strange if you think about it, isn't it? How do I put it? Well, let's say you write a program that calculates an addition problem for you, all right? So you enter 1 plus 1. The screen will show you 2. See? Isn't that strange?
No, not really.
Oh, come on now. Of course a caveman like you would think it was strange. You said so just a minute ago. You're just not getting it, are you? Who calculated 1 plus 1?
The main computer, right? You said it connected to the monitor wirelessly.
Yeah, but someone who grew up in a cave wouldn't know that, right? They'd probably think that this thing here, the monitor, is doing the calculating. And once they've decided that, they'll start examining this monitor. They might poke the screen or something. Ah, I see the color changes when I press it here. Then they might investigate the hardware on the inside. Oh, I see. So this wire supplies the power. Eventually, they might even cut the wires. Ah, yes. Just as I expected. When this wire is cut, no results appear. Therefore, it must be this device which does the calculations.
Oh.
But the truth is that, just like you said, the computer is doing the calculating. But these cave people wouldn't know that, because they have no idea that the monitor and the computer are connected wirelessly.
Lotus continued to type. Junpei scratched his head.
So, what are you trying to say?
Nothing, really. It's just, I thought maybe. What if the relationship between human beings and our brains is like that?
Huh?
Well, let's say you stick a bunch of electrodes into parts of the brain. A scientist examining the signals they send out might say, interesting. So stimulating this part of the brain causes the person to see colors. That must mean this neuron cluster controls that function. Okay, let's see what happens when I cut out this part. Ah, just what I thought. Cutting off this part causes that function to cease. Therefore, human thought processes must occur in the human brain. See? Doesn't it sound the same? Maybe the brain is just an output device, like this monitor. Maybe our thought processes actually occur somewhere else, in a main body. We just don't know it. We never even think about it. Just like those cave people wouldn't know about wireless communications. We can't imagine that there's some unknown medium that transfers information into our brains, where we experience that information as thoughts.
Junpei didn't say anything. Aber ich werde jetzt dazu was sagen. Aus dem einfachen Grund, das ist eine Sache, die in Zero Escape sehr häufig vorkommt. Ebenso paranormales Zeug wird gerne mal erwähnt. Es werden verschiedene Gedankenexperimente erklärt. Und was das angeht, ja, ich verstehe, woher die Gedanken kommen. Also dieser Gedanke, dass das Hirn vielleicht auch einfach nur ein Empfangsgerät für was Äußeres ist. Aber naja, es ist ein bisschen abwegig. Vor allem, wenn man bedenkt, dass eben zum Beispiel direkte Einflüsse auf das Gehirn auch dazu führen, dass gewisse Sachen wie Stimmungen, Persönlichkeitsveränderungen etc. vorkommen können. Das wäre sehr seltsam, wenn die eigentliche Persönlichkeit außerhalb des Gehirns existieren würde. Klar, wenn man dann sagt, okay, da ist jetzt ein bestimmter Empfänger kaputt. Okay, es gibt aber keinen Mechanismus, den man kennt oder den man wahrnehmen könnte oder den man irgendwie bisher nachweisen könnte, nachdem so etwas gesendet wird. Und daher ist die naheliegendste Lösung halt wirklich, ja, unsere Persönlichkeit, unsere Seele, wenn man so will, ist nichts anderes als unser Gehirn. Aber gut, weiter. Not so much because he had no retort. No, her argument just seemed silly. And he was a little surprised to be hearing something like that from someone like her.
The brain is just an output device. Human thought actually occurs somewhere else? That's just crazy talk.
Did Lotus really think that, he wondered? It was a little creepy, Junpei thought. It sounded altogether too much like a bizarre cultish religion.
Maybe that's the cause of Seven's amnesia.
Oblivious to Junpei's increasing discomfort, Lotus continued.
If memory is actually stored somewhere else, in some sort of main body somewhere, maybe he hasn't forgotten anything at all. He's just having a difficult time accessing his memories because the monitor, his brain, has been damaged.
Huh.
I suppose that would explain aphasia and blindsight, too. Perhaps they actually can speak or see. The monitor just isn't functioning properly. I guess people with prosopagnosia could be suffering from the same thing.
Ich möchte übrigens kurz anmerken, dieses Gespräch haben wir tatsächlich nur, weil wir vorher in dem Raum zusammen mit Seven waren und da überhaupt von der Amnesie erfahren haben. Ansonsten wäre dieses Gespräch nicht so lang gegangen. Das Spiel ist da tatsächlich sehr speziell. Auch, dass hier jetzt Prosopagnosie erwähnt wird.
Wait a minute. What?
He knew what aphasia was from watching medical dramas on TV, and blindsight was easy enough to guess, but he'd never heard the word prosopagnosia before.
What? You've never heard of prosopagnosia?
Lotus spun around in a chair to look at him. Junpei just shrugged and shook his head.
No. What is it?
Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces. In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's or even yours.
Also jein. Prosopagnosie ist eine Sache, die es tatsächlich gibt, die ist relativ selten. Aber es ist eben so, dass Gesichter da etwas anders abgespeichert werden. Und normalerweise ist es so, im Gehirn werden Gesichter relativ speziell mit einer Person verknüpft. Das heißt, du siehst ein Gesicht und weißt, das ist diese Person. Das fehlt bei Leuten mit Prosopagnosie. Für die ist es so, die sehen, aha, das ist ein Gesicht. Aber wem dieses Gesicht gehört, ist nicht abgespeichert. Und das heißt, wenn Gesichter sich ansatzweise ähneln, sind die quasi für die Leute nicht zu unterscheiden, insofern, dass sie die nicht einem Menschen zuordnen können. Wenn jemand eine auffällige Frisur hat oder sowas, erkennen die das natürlich trotzdem. Aber das Gesicht an sich lässt diesen Leuten keine Rückschlüsse auf den Menschen schließen. Und das ist interessant.
So they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble recognizing even people they're close to.
Das stimmt wohl.
Usually they can make do by associating people with other things. Their voices, their clothes, their hair.
Does that mean other people's faces look like blanks?
No, I don't think so. Well, you've seen monkeys, like in a zoo, right? To you and me, all the monkey faces look the same. Even though they've obviously got faces, it's almost impossible for a human to distinguish between them.
Das ist tatsächlich ein sehr guter Vergleich.
The zoo staff that works with them would learn to identify different monkeys eventually, but you or I couldn't unless one had a scar or something else to set it apart. Well, that's how people would be to someone with prosopagnosia.
Prosopagnosia. Huh. I didn't even know that kind of thing existed.
Junpei did his best to act as though the entire lecture hadn't gone entirely over his head.
And, what were we talking about?
The idea that your brain is just an output device, like a monitor.
Are you serious about that stuff?
Not really. I was just kidding for about half of it.
What about the other half?
Well, I guess I was just adulting.
Not funny.
Noticed the smile had something rather masochistic to it.
It's nothing more than a story I made up out of boredom. Don't take it seriously. It was the first thing that came to mind, and I just talked about it to kill time. But looks like I don't need to talk anymore.
Why?
I don't have to kill time any longer.
As she spoke, Lotus raised her right arm high and brought it down on the Enter key.
Oh, then you finished that brute whatever thing?
I certainly did. And let's see what we got.
Falls das an sowas nicht geforscht wird, kann ich mir nicht vorstellen. Prosopagnosie, da wird mit ziemlicher Sicherheit dran geforscht. Chunks of text flickered on and off in quick succession, and then a line of numbers appeared, blinked, and disappeared. The screen cleared, and all that was left was the word accepted.
Piece of cake.
Lotus would clearly have patted herself on the back if it would not have made her look entirely ridiculous. After a few seconds, the accepted disappeared to be replaced with 9 squares arranged in a 3x3 square.
The screen changed again. What the hell is that?
No idea. Looks like a puzzle.
Suddenly, Lotus stood up.
Huh? Aren't you gonna, I don't know, do more computer stuff?
No, I can't do any more. It won't let me do any more programming. See? The keyboard. Nothing. So, there's nothing more I can do.
Well,
I guess I'll leave this to you then, Junpei.
What?
Let me take a break, all right? I did my part.
Well...
He wasn't sure what to say to that. She certainly had done her part. In fact, without Lotus, they probably would have run completely aground. Shouldn't rely on other people so much, Junpei thought to himself. Ach, jetzt so, Geräte zur Kontrolle von Gehirnströmen von außen, also das Gehirn als Output-Device. Naja, es ist so, man arbeitet an Dingen, um halt zum Beispiel Gehirnströme genauer messen zu können. Das Problem ist, du musst bedenken, die kleinste Einheit des Gehirns, so man könnte sagen, ein Quantumgehirn, ist das einzelne Neuron. Und jedes einzelne Neuron ist mit unzähligen anderen verknüpft. Und die haben natürlich auch so eine Art An-Aus-Funktion, aber im Gegensatz zu Transistoren ist es nicht so, dass das Ding an ist und bis es eine Änderung bekommt, ausgeht, anbleibt und dann ausgeht, sondern es ist so, das feuert und ist danach wieder ruhig. Und abhängig davon, wie sich das aufsummiert und solche Sachen, es ist viel, viel komplizierter, als wir aktuell genau überwachen können, weil wir können nicht jedes einzelne Neuron einzeln vermessen. Und vor allem ist das Gehirn auch sehr plastisch, das heißt, es verändert sich ständig. Du lernst was und zack, hast du neue Verknüpfungen. Du tust irgendetwas Neues und zack, hast du neue Verknüpfungen oder alte lösen sich. Es ist unfassbar schwierig. Man kann nur grob die Aktivität von gewissen Hirnarealen visualisieren, aktuell, und wenn man jetzt ja nicht unbedingt direkt Elektroden ins Gehirn reinsetzen will. Ich hatte tatsächlich mal ein Semester Computational Neuroscience und habe natürlich auch sonst Neurobiologie so ein bisschen an der Uni gehabt. Bin ja studierter Biologe, aber das ist so ziemlich eines der kompliziertesten Felder der Biologie, weil es gibt noch nicht die Technik, das alles so ganz exakt zu betrachten. Man hat aber festgestellt, wenn man bestimmte Hirnareale stimuliert, sorgt das für bestimmte Reaktionen. Allerdings ist das eine Sache, die man bisher eher an Tierversuchen als an Menschen gezeigt hat, aber es gibt durchaus auch Sachen an Menschen. Und es gibt ja auch genügend andere Sachen, wo Hirne manipuliert wurden, um Effekte zu erzielen. Das war nicht unbedingt immer moralisch einwandfrei, siehe Lobotomie. Aber ja, das Problem ist, wir können halt nicht von allen Neuronen das ganz genau einzeln beobachten, weil dafür müssten wir in jedes einzelne Neuron extrem frickelig eine Elektrode reinbewegen. Und dann eine weitere Elektrode ganz nah an das Neuron dran. Und das mit jedem Einzelnen. Das klappt nicht. Das ist einfach faktisch nicht machbar. Aber man kann ein paar andere Sachen machen. Man kann grob sehen, okay, diese Areale haben gerade viel Aktivität. Und es gibt halt auch so einen schönen Satz. Neurons that fire together wire together. Das heißt quasi, Neuronen, die gemeinsam aktiv werden, sind in der Regel verknüpft oder verknüpfen sich mit der Zeit. Und das ist eine Sache, die tatsächlich auch in gewissem Maße vorkommt. Man muss aber sagen, im Gehirn gibt es sehr viele verschiedene Sachen. Es gibt teilweise Zeitgeber, es gibt Feedback-Loops, es gibt alles Mögliche da drin, so viele verschiedene Verknüpfungen. Und das alles ist unglaublich schwierig so zu visualisieren. In diesem Fall ist ja die Idee, es gibt quasi einen Punkt außerhalb des menschlichen Körpers, an dem eigentlich die gedanklichen Prozesse ablaufen. Da muss man dann fragen, in welchem Medium, woraus besteht dieser Denkapparat und wie sendet er das jetzt an das Hirn? Und vor allem, wie empfängt das Gehirn das? Denn es ist nun mal so, wir können Sachen auf Nervenaktivität zurückführen. Und Klar, man kann natürlich jetzt überlegen, ist diese Nervenaktivität nur die Folge von irgendwelchen Signalen, die ankommen und dann vom Hirn irgendwie verarbeitet werden, aber naja, unsere Sinneswahrnehmung funktioniert ja auch so. Signal kommt zu den Sinneszellen, die geben ein Signal ans Gehirn und das Signal im Gehirn wird in entsprechenden Arealen weiterverarbeitet über andere Signale. Das läuft alles über so eine Signalweiterleitung. Es ist generell schwierig und ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass es da so eine Möglichkeit gäbe, das so im Detail darzustellen, wie man das gerne sich vorstellt. Und auch diese Sachen mit Hirn als Output-Device. Das Problem ist, du musst dafür die Hirnareale einzeln reizen oder du musst entsprechende einzelne Zellen anregen. Und dafür brauchst du Elektroden, die den eben kleinen Stromstoß versetzen oder zumindest eine Spannungsänderung herbeiführen. Denn wenn man es ganz genau nimmt, elektrischer Strom, wie wir das zum Beispiel in der Steckdose oder eben in Stromkabeln kennen, ist nicht ganz das, was in Nervenzellen abläuft. Das ist zwar streng genommen immer noch elektrischer Strom, weil es eben die Bewegung von geladenen Teilchen ist, aber es ist eben nicht entlang des Neurons, dass da irgendwelche Sachen von A nach B fließen, sondern die fließen immer nur über die jeweilige Zellmembran und lösen damit weitere Sachen aus, dass das dann auch weiter vorne passiert. Und so breitet sich das quasi immer weiter aus, über das Neuron hinweg. Aber es ist nicht so, dass quasi jetzt heißt, okay, hier fließen jetzt Elektronen von A nach B, sondern es ist eigentlich so, nee, man hat Elektronen überhaupt nicht dabei. Das ist alles mit entsprechenden Kat- und Anionen, die da eine Rolle spielen. In dem Fall vor allem halt Natrium- und Kalium-Kationen. Es gibt ein paar, die arbeiten auch mit beispielsweise Hyperpolarisation und solche Sachen. Da haben wir dann auch zum Beispiel Chloridionen, die eine Rolle spielen. Und gerade in Synapsen haben wir auch gerne Calciumionen, aber es ist ein bisschen schwieriger und es ist... Okay, ich habe jetzt genug rumgenördet. Machen wir weiter mit dem Spiel. Ach ja.
I guess you're right. Thanks, Lotus.
No problem. And make sure you know when you should thank people.
Now, I better take care of this myself. No more relying on anyone else.
Junpei crossed his arms and stared at the puzzle shown on the screen. Jetzt können wir nämlich hier so Sachen drücken. Tja, ich habe mir die 4 Punkte gemerkt. Alright. I solved it. Das ist das Lustige bei diesem Puzzle. Ach, ich kann gerade nicht in Fight gehen. Es ist ziemlich simpel. Im Fall war es nämlich so, da waren 1, 2, 3, 4 markiert in diesem Sudoku-Ding. Das Lustige ist, bei dieser Art von Rätsel ist es völlig egal, in welcher Reihenfolge man das macht, weil sich das immer nur aufsummiert auf 1 oder 0. Das ist quasi binärer Zustand. Das funktioniert entsprechend extrem einfach, wenn man einfach nur sich gemerkt hat, welche einzelnen Felder man mal drücken muss. Did you hear a noise just now? Yeah, I did. It sounded like something unlocking. Where did it come from? Wo hatten wir denn noch verschlossene Sachen? Aber jetzt trinke ich erstmal den Tee hier. Ah, direkt daneben. Ehe meine leckere Tasse schwarzer Tee komplett kalt wird. Look, Junpei. The lights on the lockers are green. Then we must have unlocked with a computer puzzle. Was haben wir denn hier? What's in here? Keys? Ich kann die... Hey, ich möchte die aufnehmen. Geht das nicht? So, Moment. Doch. There's more than one key in here. This one is small and looks like it goes to some sort of machine. And this one has the Earth symbol on it. I think the Earth symbol matches a keyhole in a door on the A deck. Well, if that's the case, we probably need the Earth key right now. Alright then, Earth key. I'll just tuck you away deep in my pocket. Now as for the other key. Activation key. What key is this? From the shape of it, I'd say it's not for a door. Probably some sort of device. Oh. What is it? I wonder, do you think maybe this is the activation key for that thing? The activation key? Yes, it has to be. I feel good about this. It was just at that moment that he heard a voice behind him. It was Clover.
Hey, Junpei, do you have a minute?
He put the puzzle aside for a moment and walked over to Clover.
What's up?
I wanted to ask you something.
Hmm?
Junpei, you went into door 5 with my brother, right?
Genau dieses Gespräch hätten wir zum Beispiel nicht bekommen, wären wir durch Tür 4 gegangen.
Did you hear him say, like, anything weird?
Huh?
Why is she asking me this, Junpei wondered. The more he thought about it, however, the more it made sense. Snake had been gone for a long time. Clover was quite attached to her brother. Of course she would have been worried about him.
Well, let me think.
He thought back to when he'd gone through door 5, hoping he might remember something, even a small something, that would help her. However...
Sorry, Clover. I can't really think of anything. I mean, he did mention that his hearing exceeds that of a regular person, or something like that, but that's about it.
Okay.
Clover's words were barely audible. She nodded vaguely to Junpei and turned to walk away.
Hey, wait a minute.
Hmm?
Look, I don't know if I should ask you things, but if you don't mind, I was hoping you could tell me if, is Snake, I mean, was he born...
You're talking about his eyes?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't born blind. When he was a kid, he got in an accident. A really bad car accident. He couldn't see after that. And his arm.
His arm?
Yeah. My brother's left arm is... it's not like a normal person's arm. It's fake. It's not a real arm.
Das ist übrigens eine wichtige Information.
The accident hurt him really bad. To save him, they had to cut off his arm.
Oh.
Is that all you wanted to ask me?
Talking about her brother and had clearly taken a great deal out of Clover. Junpei nodded.
Look, I'm sorry for making you talk about all that painful stuff.
It's not that.
Clover only shook her head and walked off down the stairs. So. Kümmern wir uns hier rum. This key. The shape sure makes it seem like it goes to this machine. Alright, I'm turning it on. Okay, the monitor is on now. And it's full of letters. It's showing some kind of warning. Power restored to experimental device. Emergency system will activate in the event of abnormal subject behavior. Okay. Typing this keyboard isn't doing squat. Aber gut, jetzt könnte es sein, dass hier ein bisschen was passiert ist. Ne? There's something sticking out of the mannequin's head, like wires or something. What the hell were they doing in there? Huh? Why is she all quiet now? They were doing experiments on humans. Probably. Oh man, now she looks sad. This is the monitor. There are a whole lot of cables under this table. Junpei, this thing is here is on now. Yeah, that's because we activated the power over on this side. Could you like play with it a little? Okay. Yeah. I'll turn this dial here. Turn, turn, turn. I don't think it's working. Nothing happened. Well, maybe she missed something. I should ask her to look around the room again. Hier vielleicht nochmal. There's a mannequin lying on the exam table. I can't really see it very well from here, but it looks like there are a bunch of electrodes sticking out of his head. This is the monitor. There are a whole lot of cables on this table. is a wash basin, more commonly known as a sink. It's a rack. There are some cables on top with copper wire exposed. I've got the scribblings from the table already. I guess this drain is for water, huh? Well, there's nothing here. Was könnte sie sich noch ansehen? Those are the stairs I just came down. The bars and the gate are just above me. Man kann sich nicht den Tisch einzeln ansehen. Maybe if you increase the voltage. Roger, will do. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way to max voltage. Max voltage? Hey, wait, Clover. Aw, shit. What? I think, Oh my god! The mannequin's head! Oh man, that sounds like a fire alarm. Yeah, what the hell? Fire detected. Fire detected. The emergency system will be activated. Evacuate the room immediately. Oh. Das hat nicht funktioniert. Clover's on the other side of this gate. She's in pretty bad shape. What are you doing, Junpei? You need to save Clover now. Ah, it's you. Hey, the screen is all red. Malfunction has been detected. Experiment discontinued. It says the emergency system has been activated. The keyboard, it does nothing. Clover's still in trouble. We have to save her now. Kann ich hier nichts machen? Oh, Moment, das ist jetzt grün. The control device for the electronic door lock. The green light is on. Kann ich das nur hier? Junpei, the light turned green. Then the lock must be open. We can't just leave though. We have to save Clover first. Damn, the gate's still shut. Und muss ich jetzt hier? You already inserted the key and activated this machine. Dann irgendwas muss ich doch noch machen können. Ach, ich kann die Tür öffnen. Ich bin Volltrottel. Junpei, look at the light. Yes, it's green. The emergency system has activated and disabled the lock. Now we can save Clover. Junpei! Come on, kid, jump. She's safe. Oh man, that smoke is some serious business. Time to close this door again, I think. Clover, are you okay? Are you hurt? Damn, she's coughing so hard she can't even talk. Of course I'm not alright. What the hell took you so long, you big jerk? I was almost dead. Sorry, I was going as fast as I could. You two can do this later. Right now we need to get the hell out of here. That fire is not going to stay in that room forever. Und damit haben wir den Raum geschafft. Junpei, Clover and Lotus leapt out of the laboratory, slamming the door shut behind them.
Whew, thank God we got out of there.
Yeah, finally.
Oh, yeah.
All three collapsed against the wall, breathing heavily. Junpei's heart was pounding in his chest and his whole body felt weak. He inhaled gulps of clear air, and with each one he could feel his body begin to calm down.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
They nodded to each other and started off down the hallway. Before long, they found a few new doors, but all of them were locked.
Damn, none of these open. They're all locked.
How about that one?
The final door sat in a corner of a hallway.
Let's hope this is the door with the prize.
Junpei grabbed the door handle and was about to pull it open when a voice cried out behind him. It was neither Clover nor Lotus, but he recognized it. There was no doubt. The voice belonged to...
Jumpy!
Huh?
He spun around. There, at the other end of the hall, Junpei saw human figures running toward him. 3 of them.
June? Santa! 7!
They stopped short in front of Junpei and his companions, gasping for air.
Hey, what are you guys doing here?
What? But we didn't...
Before he could finish, Clover spoke.
Hey guys, could you come take a look at this?
She was standing near the end of the small hallway that branched off to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious as to what she'd found.
Hey, on the wall.
A map of the ship's interior?
It says C deck.
So it's the map for this floor then?
Door 7. And... Door 8. Yep, they both eventually end up at this hallway.
In fact...
Yeah, isn't that what I said? We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works.
Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again.
Wait a sec. This leads to...
As he looked more closely, his surprise and excitement gave way to weariness.
Oh,
You've got to be kidding me.
One by one, the others saw what he'd seen.
We may as well go.
yeah.
As one, they all moved back toward the door Junpei had only a moment ago been ready to open.
Oh, almost forgot. We should keep this.
He pulled the map of the ship's interior off of the wall, put it in his pocket, and followed the others. The 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward. He took hold of the door and spoke without looking back at the other 5.
Ready? I'm gonna open it.
They nodded their silent assent. Nodded their silent assent. So, with a deep breath, Santa threw open the door. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each one of them knew where they were.
I knew it.
They were just where the map had said they would be.
We're back. In the hospital room.
I see. I believe I understand what you're saying. The 6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8.
Und jetzt kann man zum Beispiel mal kurz wieder ins Flowchart gehen. Das heißt, wir sehen hier, je nachdem welche Türen wir genommen haben, 2 laufen hier wieder zusammen. Wir haben aber nachher noch eine Entscheidung, die teilt sich dann in 3 auf und eine führt dahin, wo wir auch gekommen wären, wenn wir die andere genommen hätten. Und 2 andere führen entsprechend eine ganz eigene Linie jeweils weiter, die sich unten nochmal aufteilt. Ist es nicht faszinierend? Ich liebe sowas.
You solved the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory, and then met one another in the hallway after opening your respective locked doors.
He looked like anyone might after only just waking up, but it seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He had managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report.
At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though.
Ace shook his head with a rueful smile.
Well, we saw each other again and we ain't dead, so I say that's good enough.
7 smiled.
Anyway, I say we get out of this creepy old place. We found the key we need.
The key?
Ain't that what I just said? I'm talking about the Jupiter key. We found it in the operating room. Here.
7 tossed something small and metallic toward Junpei.
Whoa.
Nice catch.
Jeez.
He caught it and thought that the object was a key.
I see. So this is Jupiter.
On it, someone had engraved a symbol similar to a 4. He looked over at June, who nodded back. It had to be the Jupiter symbol.
I'm gonna let you hold on to that, alright?
Yeah, on it.
Well, I've got something for you too then. Here, it's the Saturn Key Card. We found it in the kitchen. I might lose it. It's probably better if you hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost.
Yeah, on it.
And with that, she pressed it into Junpei's hand. He felt slightly less than honored.
So how many unused keys do we have now?
There's the Earth key we found in the laboratory. The Jupiter key you just gave me. And the Saturn Key Card from Lotus. I'll keep them safe.
Junpei tucked the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up.
The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right?
Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then, next to the stairs...
Wait!
They were the first words anyone had heard out of Clover in quite some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy words.
What about door 3?
Look, you saw the map, right? It's the same as 7 and 8. Just lead us back to the big hospital room. There's no point to seeing what's on the other side of that door.
There is a point. At least there is for me.
There were tears in her eyes, but she glared at 7 as hard as she could, just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. There wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. 7 looked everywhere in the room except at Clover and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath.
Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Snake might be on the other side of door 3.
Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace.
Very well. I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again. So 7, you'll help me, won't you?
Huh? Me?
Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. 4 plus 1 plus 7 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. It looked like 7 was doing them too. At least he gave up. At last he gave up.
Well, I guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh?
Yes, you are.
Alright, let's get moving.
And so it was decided that Clover, Ace and 7 would discover what lay beyond door 3.
Okay, we're heading out.
Be careful.
Whoa. Didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus.
Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it. The rest of us can't open the 9 door.
Ah, the truth comes out.
Seven nodded, as if this answer made much more sense and pulled the lever on the red. Ich muss dazu auch mal kurz was sagen, jetzt bei dem, was im Chat steht. Lotus hat auch nicht gerade viel an, wo sie eine Keycard aufbewahren könnte. Stimmt. Ich will auch gar nicht genau nachfragen, aber das ist auch so die einzige große Kritik, die ich, oder was eigentlich gar nicht mal so eine große Kritik ist, die ich an der Zero Escape-Reihe habe. In jedem der 3 Teile kommt ein weiblicher Charakter vor, der sehr, ich würde sagen, im 3. Teil nicht unbedingt unnötig, aber generell stark sexualisiert dargestellt wird. Im 1. Teil ist es Lotus, im 2. und 3. Teil kommen auch Charaktere vor, die so sind. Und im 3. würde ich sagen, es erfüllt sogar einen gewissen Zweck in der Story. Im 1. und im 2. irgendwie nicht. Zumindest nicht nennenswert. Man muss aber sagen, das sind nie die einzigen Eigenschaften dieser Frauen. Und die anderen gehen auch nicht groß drauf ein, sondern mal ab und an, okay, gibt es vielleicht mal einen kurzen Spruch dazu oder ein bisschen eine kleine Anmerkung oder dass die davon irgendwie ein bisschen aus der Ruhe gebracht werden, aber es ist nichts, was die Story groß beeinflusst. Aber vor allem ist es eben so, gerade bei Lotus und auch bei den anderen, dass da immer deutlich mehr ist als diese Sexualisierung. Die sind deutlich mehr als einfach nur, oh, Stück Fleisch zum Angucken. Und das finde ich zum Beispiel gut, dass selbst die sehr sexualisierten weiblichen Charaktere ziemlich gute Charaktere sind. Und das, finde ich, macht das dann auch gar nicht mal so schlimm. Und ganz davon abgesehen, ich finde es ja nicht schlimm, wenn ein Charakter mal sexy dargestellt ist. Solange es nicht der Default ist. Und es ist immer einer von 9 Charakteren. Und in diesem Fall gibt es neben Lotus ja auch noch Akane, die ja quasi so die primäre Love Interest, sind wir mal ehrlich, von Junpei ist. Und Clover, gut, die ist ein bisschen jung. Aber grundsätzlich ist es so, es gibt auch andere Darstellungen von Frauen in der Reihe. Und das zeigt, okay, das ist eine bewusste Entscheidung bei diesem Charakter für dieses Spiel. Und das finde ich dann zum Beispiel schon mal vertretbarer als bei vielen anderen Spielen, wo das dann einfach nur, ja, da sieht halt jeder jetzt so aus. Nicht wundern, ich gieße mir noch mal ein bisschen Tee ein. Von daher, jo. Ich sehe so, Sexualisierung in Spielen und Serien etc. Ich finde es ganz okay, wenn es so einen einzelnen Charakter mal gibt. Aber es sollte halt nicht Überhand nehmen. Weil dann wird es einfach so ein Standard und dann hat man auch so das Gefühl, dann sind die Frauen in der Serie nur dafür da und das ist halt auch irgendwie Kacke. Das ist hier zum Glück einfach nicht der Fall und darum bin ich da auch sehr froh drüber. Und ich muss auch zugeben, ich mag halt die Charaktere alle ziemlich, die so getroffen wurden. Nicht unbedingt auf einer Sympathieebene, aber einfach, weil es gute Charaktere sind. Wo Lotus ihre Keycard aufbewahrt hat, keine Ahnung. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich es wissen will.
Okay, we're off.
The door opened and Ace, Clover and Seven jumped through it. 6, 7, 8. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisily.
All right, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Get moving.
Where are we going?
Everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused.
Well, it would be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain.
So, ich rühre kurz mal meinen Tee um.
Oh, I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key.
Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake.
They were at the end of the hallway lined by individual hospital rooms.
And here's the Jupiter symbol on the keyhole.
All right, Junpei, open it if you please.
Yeah, on it.
Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket and slid it into the keyhole. He twisted. Oh, jetzt ist selbst der Tee aus der Kanne nicht mehr so heiß. Moment. Aber gut, ich werde jetzt auch nicht mehr ewig streamen. Von daher passt das schon. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Was ich damit meine, ist, ich kann dann wenigstens den lauwarmen Tee nochmal eben nachher in einer großen Menge runterkippen und dann, naja. Junpei sucked in a breath, held it and opened the door as quietly as he could. Inside was exactly what he expected to see from the map of the ship's interior. They were in a tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with a massive central staircase.
Great, back to the beginning. You sure this is a good idea?
Yep, das ist der Bereich, in dem die am Anfang aufeinander getroffen sind. Die hatten aber eben nicht diese Rückführung, nachdem die durch die ersten beiden Türen gegangen sind.
What do you mean?
Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we? I'm asking you if there's any reason we came back here.
Of course there's a reason.
Of course there's a reason. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky.
Huh?
This.
Junpei pulled 2 things out of his pockets.
The Saturn Key Card. And the Earth Key? I'm lost.
Santa cocked his head to one side like an inquisitive bird and looked at them. After several long moments during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the card meant, June took pity on him.
Don't you remember, Santa? On C deck, where we are now, there was a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it, I think. So the 2 keys that Jumpy has?
Should let us use the elevator and the door on A deck. Huh.
Yes, that's right.
June smiled, pleased with herself. So did Santa.
All right, I got it. Let's get started then. What do you say we split into 2 teams? Lotus and I will search the Earth one, so you 2 can search Saturn, all right?
Sounds good. Then you guys should take this key.
Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa. They decided that their initial search should be brief.
We have no idea what's on the other side of these. So don't go too far. Just search for 10 minutes and come back.
Plan decided, the 2 teams split up. Junpei and June headed for the elevators.
There's a card reader next to the left elevator.
Then let's try out the Saturn Key Card.
A light on the upper left corner blinked to life.
Great! It looks like it's working now.
All right, now how do I call the elevator?
There was a single button on the right of the elevator door.
Oh, it only has the upside-down triangle on it.
I guess there's no up button. Well, we may as well try pushing this one.
The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
It opened! Look, Jumpy!
June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tinge of anxiety.
Sweet! It opened! Let's get going.
He grinned at June and stepped toward the open door. As he was about to set foot in it, he felt a hand on his arm.
Wait!
What?
I'm not really, I just, oh gosh.
Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? June was probably afraid of being locked up alone with a boy, oder? They could only go down. Ich überlasse das hier mal kurz dem Chat. Also, es gibt da schon einen Grund, warum man beunruhigt sein könnte. Aber ich finde den ersten auch schon schön. Ach, toll. Und jetzt kann ich meinen lauwarmen Tee weiter trinken. Ich muss gestehen, ich bin in der letzten Zeit echt ein Freund von so, wie soll man sagen, Tee auf die norddeutsche Art geworden. Das heißt, man nimmt erstmal relativ viel Tee auf wenig Wasser, so. Brüht das eine ganze Zeit lang durch. Also normalerweise ist ja schwarzer Tee, okay, du nimmst deinen Beutel oder halt deine Teeblätter und lässt die so 3 bis 5 Minuten drin. Bei grünem Tee dann eher so 2-3 Minuten. Aber fertig. Also gerade bei schwarzem Tee dann so 3 bis 5 Minuten und raus, je nachdem, ob es eher aufputschend oder beruhigend entspannt sein soll. Und jetzt ist es so, in Norddeutschland gibt es tatsächlich eine Teezeremonie, die mache ich jetzt nicht 100%ig nach. Aber das ist, glaube ich, so eine friesische. Man nimmt erstmal viel Tee, wenig heißes Wasser, brüht das richtig gut durch, holt den Tee raus, gießt mit heißem Wasser auf. Erstmal dadurch, dass halt dass so wenig Wasser bei dem vielen Tee ist, werden die Konzentrationen relativ schnell sehr hoch. Das heißt aber auch, die Konzentration der Bitterstoffe ist schnell abgesättigt. Das heißt, er holt gar nicht so viel bitteres Zeug aus dem Tee raus, aber viel vom Aroma. Ja, okay, sind nur mal seriös, okay. Bleiben wir seriös. Aber ich erzähle noch kurz das weiter mit dem Tee. Dann, wie gesagt, man gießt das halt auf mit heißem Wasser, nachdem der Tee raus ist. Oder die Teeblätter halt draußen sind. Und dann wird es normalerweise so gemacht, man braucht dafür so ein Stück Kluntjes, so Kandiszucker. Da wird der Tee dann auch drüber gekippt, das ist dann halt schon in der Tasse. Und das Wichtige ist, das muss knacken. Ich habe jetzt hier kein Kluntjes, ich habe einfach nur so ein bisschen Raffinadezucker, aber es reicht. Und normalerweise kommt dann halt tatsächlich noch so ein kleiner Schuss Sahne rein. Das rührt man auch nicht so einfach um, das lässt man erstmal so ein bisschen Wolken bilden. Das zieht nochmal Bitterstoffe raus. Ich benutze dafür Milch, keine Sahne und auch nicht besonders viel. Aber tatsächlich mag ich das inzwischen schon ganz gerne. Also so schwarzer Tee mit ein bisschen Zucker und ein klein bisschen Milch. Finde ich sehr, sehr lecker. Aber gut, geht runter. She was afraid because the only elevator button pointed down. That meant, of course, that the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen elevators on the A or B decks near the central staircase. All of which meant that the elevators could only convey them to the lower decks.
Come to think of it, the lower floor, D deck, is completely underwater. An elevator heading to a submerged floor. That is pretty scary. Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right?
Well, yes, I guess it did. It didn't open right away after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise like it was moving, and then it opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, take a look inside.
Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator.
It's not wet at all, is it? The walls and even the floor are totally dry.
Oh, you're right. They are.
She looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed.
Well, let's test it.
Test it.
Yeah, watch this. Now, I'll just put one foot inside the elevator and look over at the buttons. Oh, there's only two. E and C. Alright, I'll push E.
He pushed the E button and jumped out of the elevator. The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
I think I can hear it opening on E deck.
Okay, that's done. Now I'll just press the button again.
A few moments later, the elevator returned.
Yep, not a single drop of water to be seen. See?
Junpei couldn't resist puffing out his chest just a little bit. June, however, still looked confused.
What does that mean? How can E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water?
Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you.
He pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration.
I see. So is that why the ship hasn't sunk? The shape of the inside keeps it all from filling with water?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket.
So I'm gonna go down and check it out. You stay here, alright?
But...
Come on, just do it, alright?
He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze, then hopped onto the elevator. He pushed the E button and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she was trying to make a decision when suddenly...
I'm coming with you!
Huh?
At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors.
Hey, wait!
Junpei jammed his finger against the open button, but it was too late.
Oh, crap, it closed!
The door had shut, he and June were in the elevator, and it was headed down to E deck. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on the E deck.
I can't just let you go alone, you know.
Ah, jeez.
The elevator stopped and the door slid open. They tentatively stepped out and looked around.
It looks normal.
No fish going about their fishy business or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish. Or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out and her mouth a tiny, intense frown.
Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here.
June looked around nervously, then exhaled.
You're right. It's not flooded at all.
See?
But there's a whole lot of water.
Yeah, right on top of us.
What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks?
Junpei thought about that for a moment.
We'd probably die.
Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that.
At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back.
Okay, good idea.
Now then...
Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one.
Iron bars. Well, we can't go over there.
Right.
Then maybe...
In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening.
Well,
He walked up to it and stuck his head around the corner.
it looks like there's a long straight hallway down this way.
Something's written on the door at the end. Wait, is that...
Let's check.
Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6.
I knew it!
This is a numbered door.
And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door.
But we can't do anything with only the two of us.
We better head back and let everyone know.
Yes.
Junpei and June turned and headed back to C deck.
Wait, what's this?
On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall.
Is this the map for E-Deck? I should take it with me. Huh, so you guys found door 1.
I met back up with Santa and Lotus, who had explained what they'd found. Apparently there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that the Earth Key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door.
So now we've located 2 new doors, the 6 door and the 1 door.
You know, it is interesting that E-Deck wasn't flooded.
Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought.
Well, we don't really know if all of E-Deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Yeah, even so, it's still very interesting.
You said the 6th door was there, right?
Yes.
Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash.
Yes, it does make sense.
That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing.
Yeah?
I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here.
June looked up at Junpei with large, pleading eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already.
Well, Junpei and I should be able to open door 1.
Huh? You guys leaving me behind?
8 plus 6 plus 5 equals 19. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1.
Just kidding. All right, let's go.
Lotus's words were all the Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room.
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
Und ich denke, das ist ein guter Punkt, um beim nächsten Mal weiterzumachen. Ach ja, ich mag dieses Spiel. Ich mag die gesamte Reihe. Ich mag die Reihe sehr, sehr gerne. Und ich habe in letzter Zeit wirklich auch eine Schwäche für Narrative Games mit guter Geschichte. Ich habe zum Beispiel jetzt vor kurzem mal Eternal Threads für mich entdeckt. Ich glaube, das ist nicht so was Gutes für einen Stream, aber es ist halt auch ein Spiel, ist so ein bisschen Walking Simulator, aber es ist, oh, an vielen Stellen, gerade wenn man halt so Probleme von Leuten dann mitbekommt, es ist hart, aber gut, richtig gut. Ich kann mal kurz erwähnen, worum es geht. Im Grunde geht es darum, Eternal Threads arbeitet mit Zeitreise, aber das ist nicht so das hundertprozentige Thema dieses Spiels, denn es ist so, es gibt quasi Zeitanomalien und man arbeitet für eine Organisation, die versucht, diese wieder ins Lot zu bringen, weil Zeitreise wohl letzten Endes dazu geführt hat, dass durch diese Anomalien halt die Menschheit große Probleme hat. Deshalb geht es zurück und es gibt einen Brand. Dieser Brand muss auch passieren bei einem bestimmten Haus. Aber eigentlich sollten alle 6 Einwohner dieses Hauses das überleben. Die sind aber aufgrund dieser Anomalie alle tot. Und man kann sich einzelne Szenen ansehen, die da passieren im Laufe dieser Zeitlinie und gezielt bestimmte Entscheidungen der Charaktere ändern. Und damit dann wieder andere Sachen, ja, erzeugen, andere Zeitstränge oder die Zeitstränge ein bisschen verändern. Und dadurch, dass bestimmte Entscheidungen getroffen werden, verhalten sich Charaktere dann an bestimmten Stellen anders oder es kommen bestimmte Informationen raus. Und das Ziel ist erstmal einfach nur alle 6 überleben zu lassen. Das ist gar nicht mal so schwierig. Allerdings ist es so, dass, wie es dann mit denen weitergeht, danach nicht unbedingt ideal ist. Es gibt auch eine Zeitlinie, das ist dann eine komplette Wiederherstellung. Dann hat man auch für alle das bestmögliche Ergebnis rausgeholt, indem man dafür gesorgt hat, dass die alle mit ihren Problemen auch entsprechend umgehen. Klasse. Und es gibt aber auch noch ein paar Sachen, die man als Geheimnisse finden kann, die ich ziemlich cool finde. Das heißt, man muss teilweise auch in bestimmte Räume kommen. Und die sind teilweise verschlossen. Das heißt, man muss erst Ereignisse sehen, um zum Beispiel mitzubekommen, wo denn zum Beispiel ein Schlüssel ist. Oder eine Notiz für einen Code, den man braucht und sowas. Es ist geil gemacht. Also Eternal Threads kann ich nur empfehlen. Aber genug davon. Jetzt hier zu diesem Spiel zurück. Hier mag ich halt einfach die Art der Erzählweise und dass bestimmte Wege, die man gegangen ist, auch beeinflussen, wie es weitergeht und was man für Zwischenetappen hat. Das heißt, wie gesagt, wenn ich mal ins Flowchart gehe, wären wir nicht am Anfang hier durch die Tür gegangen und hier gelandet, dann hätten wir hier nicht zwischenzeitlich im Escape Room dieses Gespräch mit Lotus gehabt. Wir haben aber auch hier etwas verpasst, das wir hätten haben können. Ein bestimmtes Gespräch haben wir uns nicht richtig entschieden. Und darum ging hier ein bestimmtes Gespräch auch nicht weiter. Man muss hier also gewisse Flaggen quasi erheben, programmiertechnisch, wenn man so gesprochen hat, um an wichtige Punkte zu kommen. Ich kann nämlich sagen, wie es hier weitergeht, wir werden kein perfektes Ende hier kriegen können. Und es gibt insgesamt 6 verschiedene Enden. Wobei streng genommen ein Ende nur eine Fortsetzung eines anderen Endes ist. Und ich sag mal so, diese Enden haben meistens Namen, die auch nicht so gut klingen. Es gibt zum Beispiel ein Axtende. Oh, danke an Ronpa V3 weiterspielen. Gute Sache, gutes Spiel. Sehr meta, aber gutes Spiel. Gute Nacht und ich mache dann hier auch Schluss. Für die, die es vielleicht mal im VOD angucken, lasst gerne ein Däumchen da und kommentiert etc. Ihr wisst schon, wie das abläuft mit YouTube und Engagement. Ansonsten guckt gerne bei den D&D-Streams vorbei. Bald geht's da weiter mit Curse of Strahd. Da freue ich mich richtig drauf. Es wird spooky, was sehr gut passt. Es ist ja Oktober. Und ansonsten, ja, sehen wir uns bei der nächsten Runde. Ich versuche am Donnerstag weiter zu streamen. Muss mal schauen, wie gut es klappt. Also dann, bis dahin, Leute. Cheerio.